bad half. Perfect. Yeah, sorry. No worries. We'll get a.
All right, it is January 9th at 7:03, and I call this meeting of the Equity and Inclusion Committee to order. I'll go through attendance since we have some fairly new members and a new member tonight. Anitra, did I say that right? Here. Martin,
Here.
Simon,
Here.
Kathy,
Here.
Bess Bailey is also here. And do I have a motion to approve the regular minutes from December 12th?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's no one here. Okay, great. Any comments from the public? Okay, then we'll dive. All right, we're going to keep going into our discussion of the municipal code language. And I have nothing to present, but I do think we need to, if anyone has something to present, great. If not, we probably need to schedule a new time to meet up for our next chunk of municipal code language.
So I have a question. That's a meetup, like outside of the normal cadence of the meetings, just like a meetup to actually go through the code and stuff like that? I was just wondering if that's the case.
Yes, so according to sunshine laws, if more than 3 of us meet for any sort of session, we have to make public notice of it, especially for our work sessions where more than 3 of us gather. If it's under 3, I believe, nothing is on this has changed, right? If it's under 3, we don't have to have an official. Okay, so is that because there's more of us now? Ooh, so 4 over, we have to have an official agenda. Under 4, we can meet without posting an official agenda. And then we'll do that in either subcommittees if we want to break it up into parts, or we can put together an agenda. We've met at the library, we've met here before, but just so that the community knows what we're working on for part of the sunshine laws.
Yeah, and it's not an issue at all. If like 5 of you want to show up, like just let me know and I'll post it, and then it's a non-issue.
That is kind of something I'd been wondering about with the sunshine law stuff. Like when we can all, I assume, discuss stuff outside of these meetings, as long as it is public that we are discussing stuff and what we're talking about and that kind of thing.
Correct. And typically the agenda, whatever's posted, would say that, quorum may be present, but no official action will be taken and things like that, which would also be the advice that if you meet at the library to go over that, nobody make a motion, nobody second it, and nobody vote. But yes, it's just a safe way. Well, one, safe, it's to follow the law. But it's a way that allows more than a quorum to get together and discuss. Mm-hmm. Regarding the municipal code and what you guys have been looking at over the last few months, I was talking with the city councilor about that, and he was saying that there is some of our code that mimics statute. He said, that being said, I think Ryan's mentioned it before as well, that he could put together a preamble, for lack of a better term, that clarifies the EIC and the council's intent. There will be some cases where code, in fact, he was talking about a law that was just written in 2024 that still says he or she and all that. He said the state is still writing that. However, the city could do like a preamble of sorts that here's our intent. Where it says this, we mean this. So if that's, But I want to let you all know that as, you know, as you were going through all that stuff, that he'd be willing to draft something to get before you. If,
Not as far as the wording is concerned, but it was mentioned that we could do a preamble. I think that's pretty much where it stopped. So just now having the go-ahead, we can probably just, you know, either just hear the language that can be used or suggest our own, and see what happens with that. So I think now we can really move forward.
he had asked if, yeah, I think at one point if that was something possible, instead of,
Each and every.
yeah, section of code, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the meetings that we had, I think like at the library, we had talked about that and just to check. So I did check with my sister who is a lawyer, and that's what she suggested. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so one fell swoop. Yeah.
So is that something he'd like us to come up with, what we're looking for in it, and then give that to him? Or is it something he would like to pursue and then we look at the language of? Or either?
I think it's, yeah, your all's choice. If you'd like him to take a stab at it, and then we bring it in February, or if you'd like to take a stab at it and we get it to city council, or either way, it's fine.
Does anyone have a preference?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is the same thing. I did put in a draft to an email, so I can send that over. And
I think when we looked at the option, we were all in favor of it. So I'd say, like, let's send it to council, get his feedback on it, and then if we like it, approve it within us, and then take it to city council. I think that's probably the most streamlined way, even though it has like 4 steps.
I mean, if there's a government procedure that you can reduce all the way down to 4 steps, that's pretty efficient.
Sorry, just to clarify, you want us to, Marcia's draft to you all and then to Tom? Or her draft to Tom for the February meeting?
Marcia's
to get-
draft to Tom.
Okay,
Tom's either like
Draft.
thumbs up or feedback
and
to
then to,
us.
yeah,
If we're in agreement with it, then we'd like to take it to city council and propose it. City council will just get so used to seeing us. It'll be great.
yes, it will.
So this preamble would be in addition to us setting up a time to meet at some point to continue going through the code.
Yes, because I think I believe Marcia's draft, and the beautiful Marcia is here, so she can fact check me on this. I believe it mainly interpreted language around gender identity. All right.
Okay, so gender is the most prominent and prevalent language that should be addressed. There are other things. I basically went through like a keyword search, if you will, to tackle gender, race, religion, ageism, you know, all of that fun stuff. And based on that, you know, as words would show up, I would, you know, read to get the full context to, you know, make sure it was either calling something out or if it was related to something else, like with a car or something, right? Like a disabled vehicle, right, is going to be interpreted differently than talking about an actual person, right? So that was the that was my approach. I do have it summarized and different sections listed out where the language shows up. Some of them have potential fixes or potential language that we might want to use instead. That was sent to Daniel and Jennifer, and I can probably just send it to you to then send to EIC, if that is the better. Okay, so I will send it to Michael to then send to you all just to make sure it goes through proper channels. But all of that is listed out, and then, if you want to go deeper or expand the word search, because I put down what words I look for as well. So all of that is there in a nice little package that you all will soon receive.
You did a ton of work.
Thank you.
You did a ton of beautiful work for us. Thank you. As far as the language in the preamble, is all of that all of the work you did encompassed in the preamble that you drafted, or does that mainly, I feel like in my head, so don't trust that at all, but in my head, it's mainly identifying pronouns.
So the preamble specifically, because that is so overarching, because it is related to gender, that would mainly be where the preamble is targeted, I'll say. So it does not include all of the language, because there might be, for some words, maybe 2 or 3 instances that we might want to look at. There might just be one. So in those cases, we could probably just actually look at those specific sections and potentially change the wording there, and use the preamble for gender specifically, because it is so overarching throughout the entire code.
That's what I was fairly certain of, so my brain did a good job. Thank you. Does that provide clarity for our new members? Are there any additional questions while we keep, I don't think she's leaving out early, but while we keep picking her brain about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right, it's like a main statement, that, yeah. Correct. That is something else, and thank you for bringing that up. That is something else that was mentioned so just because something says, like, to this point, year of our Lord, does not mean that we are pushing a certain religion at all, right? It's just something to be said. So not everything needs to be changed, but the things that do need to be changed, especially in the broader context, let's go ahead and tackle that.
Thank you again. So typically what we do at this point is we try to calendar out a session of when works best between now. If we want to do more work between now and our next voting session, so the second Thursday of February, we try to calendar in a time when we could all meet. We've tried to do weekday evenings. Those are typically harder to meet here because there's other meetings that happen here. We've used workrooms at the library, and that's worked really well. Saturdays have also worked pretty well for people. But I mean, look at the world outside. I can't calendar 3 days at a time right now. So if anyone has a date that they're looking towards, knowing that they have other things planned for between now and the next meeting, that's kind of like, this is now a good time to kind of shout those out.
I guess, yeah, if it's a good time to shout those out. I will say that I'm going to be out of town on vacation from the 22nd to the 27th. So as long as it's outside of those dates, it should be pretty good, especially for evening weekdays. That'll be fine for me for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I do bartend usually Monday and Friday nights.
I would like to suggest, like doing our time on a Thursday because that seems to work for everyone. Or if we want to push it back an hour or 30 minutes or so, not really sure what everyone's work schedule is. Yes, and yes, 6 instead of 7, or even doing 6:30, and then allotting a meeting time frame, because I know that sometimes looking at things for long periods of time, it can get a little skewed. So maybe a 2-hour max, and everyone take a section, and then we reconvene, or like group work in a sense.
So then that would give us either the 16th, the 30th, or the 6th, I believe. For city calendar, are any of those nights particularly busy with meetings?
I'm going to jump in real quick. I'm
Yeah.
going to be out of town on the 16th.
Okay, great. So I don't even know. I'm in the wrong month completely.
16th, 17th.
So 16th, so then the 30th or the 6th. I'm looking at the right year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Were you considering having it here or at the library? We prefer that too. That way I don't have to be here to let you in.
No offense. No.
And
Did you pick a
regarding,
date?
what was that?
No.
Picking the day? Is that what you're saying?
30th or the 6th.
Yeah, regarding that, that was another one. Sorry, I completely forgot to mention it. It's easy to forget about sometimes, but I also work Thursday nights, except for one Thursday a month for this. So Thursdays actually aren't a very good night for me. I apologize that my availability is whittling down, but working nights, it is what it is.
I feel like Tuesday, Thursdays are paired very well together.
Okay.
What are people's availability on Tuesday?
May I interject really quickly?
Yes.
Just want to remind everyone, you do not have to have
Yep.
everyone there. So if it's 2 or 3 people, that is fine. It would not be a quorum. You know what I mean? So if 2 people can't. Yeah, in the past we've had like 3. Mm-hmm.
The last
3
one, I
maybe
think we
4.
had more, and I, like an idiot, showed up in the last 5 minutes because I thought it was an hour later than it was. But I was really proud that I got here early for an hour late meeting.
But yeah, I appreciate, that's a good point. I don't want to hold up doing it like, oh, I have to be there or anything like that.
We can
I have
also,
another.
this code is huge. This will not be our only meeting, so.
I had a question in regards to that. With it being so large, I'm not sure what was done before. But could we treat it like a homework assignment? You take chapter 1 or page 1 through 10, and then we reconvene together? I mean, I'm not sure what was done prior to that.
Yeah, so that's a
Yeah,
really,
that is what we did. That is kind of what you have to do. So different chapters are going to be different lengths. I would suggest doing it like chapter by chapter. I do know some of the meetings that we had, we would do like chapters 1 through 3, and then 4 through 6. But it depends on the length of the chapter because they do vary. But either splitting it up into 3 parts each, or chapter by chapter, whatever feels best or will fit the time that you all have would be good.
and I'm not quite sure what all we've done and what we haven't done because we've done this over the course of probably 3 years. Like we started it and then we left it for quite a while. And then we came back to it and then we lost quorum for a really long time. And then we've kind of just gotten back to it again. So I think what would probably be the best before we decide on what we're doing in the next meeting is kind of look at what we have, and which would mean me going through like probably 5 years of emails, which is, it's fine. I don't mind it at all. And kind of codifying what we actually have and putting it in one place. Because as people have come and left, we've also kind of lost that ability to track that document. And we've had people work in Word and people work on pages and things get lost.
So are you saying the idea would be that when we do have our like next working session meeting to work on it, that's kind of the point where we, I guess, start giving out homework?
No, what I'm saying is like pre-work for me would to codify like what we have and what is still. Then before, at least a week before I get to you guys, here's what we've done, here's what's been covered, here's where, like, here are the next 3 things that make sense to put together, or the next 2 things that make sense to put together. This is what we'll review.
Gotcha.
If you can't be there, like, email one person your thoughts, or email, like, or like send in your notes somehow, so that, or leave your notes in the document. I don't know what it would be, because again, like, email chains get a little sticky if you reply all with sunshine laws. So it would probably be reply to sender, so that we could keep them, so one person could keep hold of them until we're at the meeting together. If we post those meeting minutes.
I have another question. Is there a working document that can be utilized so then going forward, it doesn't have to, you going through 5 years of emails, then it's all right there? Because I'm pretty sure this is in a PDF form, and someone may have Adobe Acrobat, and you can add comments that way, and it can be seen. But I don't know if there's a,
Definitely, maybe.
Okay.
There is a way we can make this easier. That is correct. And we
There
might
is-
need to like approve a external hard drive to keep all of this information on, or maybe there's one somewhere here, or even just like a USB drive. That would be great.
So, in the past, I know Megan was so kind as to email us like 3 chapters at a time. I think we did that for 1 through 3, and then 4 through 6, and maybe 7 through 9, potentially. It might just been like 1 through 6 might have just been sent out separately. After that, we were given the link to where everything is housed, and I just went through there and just saved them myself. So, again, we have that because I saved them, so I could also just send that out. I'll just send that out to everyone as well. Well, to Michael, and then he can, yeah, because it's a huge file.
I think what we're learning is as people have come and left, and we have had varying levels of success, we have had varying levels of organization. And because of that, I know I've got it all in emails somewhere because I don't want to talk about the amount of space I have left in my Gmail. I've got a red warning. Let's just leave it there. So we've got it. It'll just be a mission to get them all in one place. And that's because of my lack of organization. But it can happen and it won't take long. Do we have some sort of storage option for digital files that I could, like, take?
I'll look and see if I can get a SharePoint set up. Otherwise, I have a lot of thumb drives.
That would work.
Okay.
You also need to spend some time telling me what a SharePoint is.
It's a fancy word for like online file
Cloud?
sharing. Yeah,
Great, perfect. Love that.
yeah.
I have a question with the SharePoint. We utilize it. Some people may not have Microsoft, or it may not. I'm not sure if it'll be able to pull up on all platforms. Like if you have a
If you have
MacBook.
iOS. Yeah, I'll look tomorrow and see
Okay.
what kind of subscriptions we have.
Okay, so look for information from Megan about SharePoint and then information from me and other people regarding city code or municipal code. Be very exciting. Any other questions or comments on that work we'll be doing? Oh, we didn't pick a date.
That's what I was going to say. We're going to close loop and go back around to the
Yep.
date.
Good job. Okay, so we're down to the 30th and the 6th. I think we have the most flexibility for. And then Simon, if you want to meet with me, someone else, if you don't like me, it's totally fine. Yeah, okay. I'll come see you at work. I think I would prefer the 30th because if that means we need to leave there and do a little more work, we'd have a full week and then a little more to get anything else done. Just thinking of where my work life is and my family life, having a little more time would be better for me.
I can agree.
Happy future birthday. Okay, so we will meet on the 30th at, can we do 6:30?
Great.
At the library.
Does anyone need to schedule that, or is someone do we do that, or? Yes.
Can someone do that?
I'll do it.
Yes. Thanks, Kathy. And then Megan, you'll post the content of the agenda, which is municipal code. Perfect, thank you. Okay, moving on to council member liaison update.
As you may know, we had a discussion at the last council meeting about increasing the funding for cold weather housing. And that went through. It just brings forth, and there was a discussion about the whole issue of the houseless population who live in North Kansas City. And that's a population that's, well, ignored, actually. And we have to do something about it, and the resources that are available in Clay County and elsewhere are limited. And this is a neglected part of our population. And it's something that the Equity Inclusion Committee is real suited to start talking about. It's a complex issue. It really hasn't been solved anywhere. Whether we can do it or not is problematic at best, but we need to do something. We need to start coming up with some kind of coherent plan. And I would recommend that be the next project taken on by the Equity Inclusion Committee. And you had something to say too, to this.
Yeah, so very much echoing what Councilmember Hyper just said. There are a lot of different possibilities that can be explored. As far as we know right now, there's no partnerships going on with the houseless population that we have, and especially when it comes to emergency housing, when it gets like freezing or below freezing, correct, for like the daytime high, is really what we are running into. So I know during our council meeting, a potential voucher was suggested. Not sure how that would really come about, but just something to help solution the challenge that we're seeing. Unfortunately, we are seeing that population grow, and it's definitely something that we need to tackle. And as of right now, I do believe the funding is pretty much just coming from the city, and that is not viable. That is not a solution, definitely not for long-term consideration. So, yeah, it'll be a multifaceted approach. I'm sure that there are different grants or businesses, different organizations that we can partner with, utilize to help get this population on their feet in a better situation. But yeah.
So how the committee would like to go about starting to tackle this problem? It's a huge one. I don't have any quick, ready suggestions or answers about how to do it, but I think it's something that we need to do. And there's nothing we can do about it immediately. All we can do is continue to work with the limited resources that we have in North Kansas City, and the one agency that seems to be doing this, which is very well respected by the houseless community. I've talked to some of them on the streets about how they're actually, do they get respect when they go there? Are they handled in a very sincere and open manner? And they say yes. So I don't have any problems with that agency, but its resources are limited and needs to be explored. Maybe a county. I really don't have any expectations of the state getting involved at this point, realistically, but possibly the county. These are things that can and should be considered and thought through. And I would recommend that be the next big project that the committee undertake.
I absolutely agree with it. I've been thinking about this for a long time myself. I did see that meeting, the council meeting that was held recently with Northland Assistance Program Director Rita, and it doesn't surprise me that they're pretty well respected. I do think that we can do something. I think that first thing I think that we should do is to get all any data that we can, official data. For example, we don't know how many, we don't know where people usually come from. We need to, I think that we need to have that in front of us when we start to discuss this. Any and all data. I bet that there's a fairly easy way to compile this data with the data that the city already has. Rita should probably have much of it. She could be a great liaison for it, in that case. What do they need? There are some items that they need that we could maybe provide drives for. Like I have been told that underwear and socks, for example, just an example. It could. We have a lot of ideas how we can raise those things like underwear and socks. Within our community alone. Another thing I think we need to do is we might not need to reinvent the wheel. This is like you said, Councilman Safer. This is nobody has figured this out yet. I haven't heard a government, a mayor, or a governor or president or whatever figure this out. Church, what happens? Everybody has their own involvement, and a lot of people do things that are good for it. But I think that if we form our organization, could possibly be a catalyst to draw everybody else in. In other words, the data from everybody's ideas. Maybe we could create a workshop, for example, that type of an idea, to draw in other members, other organizations that's concerned about this from Kansas City, from the surrounding metropolitan areas, even statewide and even nationally. We could start the first annual, for example, the first workshop to address this issue of unhoused people. Just the objective would be to get ideas, just to come together to get data and ideas is, I think, the first step we need to maybe take. It's an idea. And as you said, we need to do something, and we can. I think we can. Our ideas alone, we can maybe come up with some ideas that, we could get together and do. We can't fix it all overnight. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I think we could do more. I honestly believe we could do more.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I will say just in some of my general Google searches, right, of approaches to the houselessness challenge, right? They are all multifaceted approaches, which is definitely going to have to happen just because, we're people. We are complicated. They're convoluted. There are situations that abound, right? So it's going to take collaboration. It's going to take creativeness. And it's something that affects literally everyone, right? Directly, indirectly. So it is definitely something that the community should have for lack of a better word, a burden for, right? But speaking of like a workshop or something, I would just say make sure there is a wide array of collaborators that's there, whether that be from like fair housing to the businesses, food pantries, shelters, warming stations, what have you.
I can definitely agree with you, Mr. Newton, regarding that. I feel as well the first step is collecting all of the data to see where we go from there. I attended the council meeting, and the mayor was saying, "Hey, bring your ideas of what can be done." And I talked with some of the council members after, saying I'm a part of a sorority, and we do things for our community, and also where I work, we do things as well. And there, like Mr. Newton said, there are things that our city can do, the businesses, for us to raise money. And like you talked about, like there's been coat drives and things of that nature. Or if you go eat at this restaurant, 10% of the sales will go to this organization. So obtaining the data and then determining where we go from there, I think would be really good.
Thank you.
Oops. I have a question for you. What do you see as a solution? Because you know, we have like this huge thing, we have a problem, we don't have a lot of data, we don't know exactly what they need. What do you see as a solution that the council would be agreeable with?
I think the council would be agreeable to some kind of concerted effort with some other organizations. There aren't too many available to us at this time. The only one we have is the Northland Assistance Center in terms of cold weather housing. That's basically it at this stage. But there are, as you pointed out, many other individual groups, churches, other agencies, other entities that are doing something, but it's all a patchwork. Patchwork that sometimes helps, sometimes, I think they sometimes stumble over each other, frankly, because of the patchwork nature. And actually, I'm sort of, thinking that we could actually pull together some kind of template or model that others can join into, and we can be a leader in this. I have no solutions. I have no ready plans or answers. They have to be found.
I will also say it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's a trial and error type thing. We know that what is currently going on is not sustainable. And so, you try something, give it a couple months, maybe try something else. There is not going to be one solution. But, just trying to just hit it head on, keep an open mind, work with everyone that we can is going to be huge.
At best. Yes, 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 and yes.
Yeah, it's I think everything is on the table at this point. Again, I know, excuse me, there was a talk of a potential voucher system, right? If potential talk of having a funding cap, right, and really making sure that it is for emergencies when it comes to the city funds. Someone else mentioned a like volunteerism-ish program, right? So if it's you kind of, as the year progresses and you're able to pick up items from the street for, city beautification or something, and those hours can then be translated into nights stayed or what have you, if you still need it in the emergency situation. I'm trying to think of what else was potentially suggested, but, we are at the drawing board, just knowing that there needs to be something to do other than what's being done right now.
We are the Equity and Inclusion Committee. And we need equity for them and inclusion. We can't continue to ignore them and deal only with the emergencies, as well or badly as we do. So in some ways, I just dropped the bomb on the committee. But it's something we need to do.
I mean, I don't think it's dropping a bomb on the committee. It's things that need to be considered. It's obviously, like you said, that's not something that we're going to solve immediately or solve at a committee or council meeting in one swoop or anything like that. I think that the idea of like getting some information that we can from the Northland Assistance Center about like demographical data and, more importantly, to me at least, information about from unhoused individuals about what they need, about the barriers that they face, things like that. That will be very important to even just get the ball rolling on considering what potential solutions are. And like, you know, I like the idea of being able to have like forums and stuff to hear from unhoused folks about the things that they need. But likely, the Northland Assistance Center probably already has a bit of a head start on that over us. So getting that information from them at the onset, I think, is at least a great start. And like you said, it's not something that's going to be solved immediately in a meeting or tonight. It's things that need to start being considered now. Or should have started to be considered years ago, decades ago. But now is the second best time. Sorry to use a cliche.
I was saying it's definitely good for us to take on this project, especially when we had our last meeting of the wording. I'm drawing a blank here. To be removed. Somebody help me out. Yes, the camping ordinance. So I think that with this being brought up, this is a great way for us to, keep on and like Councilman Sable mentioned that we are equity and inclusion, so we should keep moving forward.
Sorry, still having voice. Councilman Tabor, are there any other, we've got a couple other documents here. Are there any other things for this guy? Do you know about this? Or is this someone else?
That's left over from the last council meeting.
Great, okay, cool. Just treasures. Oh, so probably this too, that I made, notes on? Okay. I was just waiting for other things. That's why I kept looking at you. I was like, let's do it. What else? Okay.
Just act like a late show host and crumble it up and throw it away.
Well, I got bonus notes on it, so I feel pretty good about it. All right, well, with that fantastic charge, well, not that it's fantastic, but with that,
Okay, sorry. I do have, I'm going to say two things.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay, one, I'll combine the two. So one, thank you so much, all of you, for coming to the December 17th council meeting and letting your voices be heard. thank you so, so much for that. That was amazing. It was wonderful. It was very refreshing, and we need more of that. So thank you. Beautiful job done by everyone, and thank you for staying so long, because that was a long meeting. That was a very long meeting. In addition to that, I will say, let us not lose sight of the camping ordinance. It was not approved to go forward, but something still needs to be done, drawn up, and so that would be more collaboration with the police department, probably EIC, just to, get some words changed around, potential policy change suggestions, all that good stuff. So let's not lose sight of that. And now I am done.
You sure you don't want to come up with another one? Okay. Any announcements?
Snake Saturday is coming up. Would you guys like to do a float again? Or
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Marcia, will you join us in it? But yeah, you were my buddy. I had so much fun with you. I think yes is the answer.
okay. Last year there was talk of bubble guns.
Yes, please. I need 35. We'll just do do you want us a blanket budget?
We have time.
Yeah, like
I
a
can-
Ghostbuster.
Yeah, that's not till March, so I can price it and be back with you in February.
Perfect. Do we know if we're allowed to do
I will. I have not looked at anything up. I will look, and then come back with report back. For the new members, welcome. We have swag, so we have T-shirts and hoodies. So we'll get you some after the meeting.
I would love that. Thank you.
Like a year ago.
I do have an announcement from Daniel via text. He says he is sorry he has missed us. Well, sorry, I started reading in a weird spot. Sorry to have missed our new folks and hopes that you can bring enthusiasm, thoughtfulness, and integrity to the group, but he will be here at our next meeting. We have some cool months coming up in February, March. We start the year with some really cool history months, and we get to honor some really great legends. So just be looking for that in the world you live in. Great, then at 7:56 on Thursday, January 9th, the 9th of January, I call this a meeting over.